drinks right now, because once this show gets started,
oh yeah,
you won't want to miss a minute. 216-578-1490. We got a special guest in the studio. Oh! We're going to get right into the meat of the program. We have a special guest into the studio.
Brother Robert. Now, I'm going to say it like this. State Director for the Fellowship of Christian Athletes in Ohio, Vice President of Cleveland Child Care and Early Learning Center, and Director for Advocacy. Also, Government and Community Relations for Friends of Breakthrough Schools, and a board member and development chair for Friends of ePrep, aka Entrepreneurship Prep School, 2009 mayoral candidate. Oh wow, you almost made the cut, coming in a close third. And in 2014, you ran for State Rep District 10, financial advisor for Morgan Stanley, Dean Witter. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. As you rattle off that resume, it's been an adventure. Getting to this point, I'll tell you. I mean, it's hard to believe it's been 8 years since that last mayoral campaign. As you mentioned, we came really close to that general election, but I don't waste time. Prior to that or since, I like to get busy and get to work, and I think education, our kids, has to be the centerpiece of this community. And I'd like to say that I've shown that I'm dedicated to, most of the people, let me put it this way, that I've served over the last several years can't even vote yet. And I hope that shares a little something about my heart. I'm not in it for any other reason except so people can get out of poverty and get good jobs and achieve their dreams. And I think those are the kind of things we need to be focused on in Cleveland.
You know something? You said a lot right there, as a matter of fact. What have you learned since, I say, 2009?
Man, that's a big question there, Al. You know, I would say 8 years ago, I had a lot to say. You know, this time I felt like as I prayed about this and as my wife and I locked in on we're doing this, we've been listening way more than we're talking. We've knocked on nearly 13,000 doors at this point all across the city of Cleveland, and I've been listening, and the people of Cleveland are clearly speaking. They want new leadership. They want accountable leadership. They want transparent leadership. They want these bullets to stop cutting down kids and adults. They want to see kids graduating from school. They want more high-paying jobs, and they want to be able to pick up the phone and call City Hall and actually have someone answer the phone and give them good service. That's what they're telling us, and I found that out because I've been listening way more than I'm talking.
I hear you add, off the air, I hadn't even talked about this issue, and you were talking about another violent weekend in Cleveland. And I'm just going to say the two things I'm looking at is today a man who was found dead on Marcellus at 18305 off Lakeshore, and then earlier around 5:30 a.m. a 16-year-old was shot around East 93rd and Kinsman, and then yesterday a 19-year-old who was shot in the face on Ansel Road. So I'm going to ask you, what do you see as being one of the main problems that you would like to focus on and deal with?
Well, I think you just rattled it off. There's too many people getting cut down by bullets, and these bullets are whizzing across Cleveland. These bullets don't have zip codes, and they're cutting down everybody that's in their path, and I think that's the issue of issues. If the mayor is going to go on record and say the city of Cleveland has arrived, and people are dying on almost a day-by-day basis, I'd say he's off base. People are dying in Cleveland. What is this, Tombstone, Arizona? Or is this Cleveland, Ohio? Because if it's Cleveland, Ohio, we need to start living. We need to make sure that we're there for our community, because I'm telling you what, every time I go to cleveland.com, every other story is about some sort of shooting. We got to stop these bullets from cutting down people. That's the number one responsibility of the mayor of the city of Cleveland and everybody in his administration. And that's really the number one reason why I'm running for mayor, because it's time for leadership that makes sure that this town is safe again.
I feel you, and then answering with an answer like that, I know a lot of people would like to know, because there are a lot of different candidates out there talking about either safety first, including our current mayor is saying safety first, or I have a plan, I have a this. What do you see as being some of the things that you would institute almost immediately?
Well, I think right now it's a great question. You need to have steady leadership, again, that can listen to all sides of the equation here. There's a lot of tension in this city, and I can understand why, because there's been way too much violence over too many years. I really believe if there was a plan by this current administration, if there was a plan by city council, we would have seen this plan a long time ago. And now we're hearing a lot in election year. Where's it been the last 4, 8, almost 12, 16 years for some of these council people. I haven't seen squat. And that's why I'm running, because we have a plan right now. As a matter of fact, I've met with leaders on both sides, community relations and in the police. We can make some serious positive strides in the right direction. In fact, I'm holding a press conference this coming Thursday at Red for Christ Church. We're rolling out our 10-point coalition introduction to Cleveland. I want people to understand that we are looking at best practices. I've been reaching out to leaders really in key areas all across this country. I want to know what works, and I want to know what works fast. We cannot delay this. We can't wait for another 3, 4, 8 months, 5 years. We need answers now, so it's really getting everybody on the same page, focusing on the right priorities, and making sure we introduce policies that are proven to work instead of just sound good.
And with that being said, one last thing that I have to ask. We've had a lot of, I'll say, selected leaders who ran, including for mayor. And everybody says the same thing. When we go down there, we're going to focus on crime. We're going to bring a better relationship between the community and the police department, who sometimes has one of the most lawless union leaders, who sometimes speaks rather abruptly or recklessly. What causes myself or others to think that once you get down there, you're not going to just be quiet and step to the side and we'll say, well, we got another one that we got to deal with for 4 years who didn't keep their word?
Well, and you asked me that question at Black on Black Crime a couple of weeks ago, and I'll answer it the same way. What I'm going to assure you is that I can look before any person that I know or that I will come to know, and I have a clear conscience before my Creator or our Creator, and I always strive to have a clear conscience between everyone I connect with. I consider integrity to be a very integral principle for leadership, and I like to think I've shown personal and professional integrity for a long time. What I know is this: we need public servants, not career politicians. Career politicians are not getting the job done. Public servants can, and I have nearly 20 years of high-level leadership that's taught me some valuable lessons about leadership. You know the old adage where they say, hey, this is one of those moments where the rubber meets the road. Well, I can assure you the rubber of my words meets the road of experience in terms of servant leadership, and the people of Cleveland will always be put first in a Kylo administration.
Go right ahead, sir. I see you.
Oh, I have a question. What about the seniors? Have you given any plans or thought anything about the seniors?
Well, absolutely. I mean, I'm 42 years old. I'm a Gen Xer, so I'm right in the bridge of the seniors, the baby boomers, and then you got the Ys, the millennials, and everybody else behind me. We have to make sure those like yourself that have paved the way for us to have the opportunities we have now, that we're doing everything we can to serve you in any way we need to, so that you continue to make sure the last years are your best years. In fact, when I was the state director of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, our regional vice president would always say, Robert, the reason you're in a high-level leadership position is because men and women have gone before you to pave the way, and we're standing on their shoulders, so you have to make right for them. So as it relates to seniors, I want to hear directly from you and others what it is that you're looking for, whether it's health care, whether it's safety, whether it's nursing care, whatever it may be. I want to make sure that we've heard you, that you have a seat at the table, and that you make sure that your living years are your best years, even in your 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond. So the kind of leader I want to be is I'm not looking to just serve certain groups of people. I'm looking to serve everybody with excellence, and you better believe I was raised that you respect those that have gone before you, like yourself. We're going to listen, and we're going to apply that which we've heard.
Well, I'd like to leave one idea of thought for you in your campaign.
Speak right in that mic, Ted.
Okay, you know, a lot of the seniors, they're like sitting around the house, and maybe they're somewhat handicapped. They can't move around as much as they used to. And a lot of them, their minds are active, you know, and they would really like to participate. So I would like to suggest a program where the seniors could volunteer and give advice on, you know, matter of fact, on some of the jobs we have, how to improve it. Maybe if you had a little survey, you know, just for the seniors, the ones that worked in the field, you know, because like especially city, county, and municipal workers, you know, they know about the jobs because they did it before. So I think their suggestions would be helpful to the city. Just, food for thought.
Ted, I think it's good food, and when I'm looking over at you right now, that gray hair in your beard, that gray hair represents wisdom. And you've got a lot of wisdom that needs to be shared with generations that are starting to step up, including my own. One of the things I've learned is that mentoring is always a great thing. I've been blessed to have some phenomenal mentors that have poured into my life. As a matter of fact, Al was rattling off some of the things I've done. At one point, I was the director of government and community relations for Friends of Breakthrough Schools. One of their flagship schools at that time was the intergenerational school. The reason it's called intergenerational is because they were actually having seniors mentor the youth at the elementary school level with literacy initiatives. And it was amazing because as the seniors were pouring into the youth through reading, the youth were actually pouring back into the seniors so that their minds stayed active and they stayed engaged.
Right.
So whether it's education or whether it's jobs, like you were alluding to, I want to make sure everybody stays in the game because you know well that this community will flourish when all of us are working together.
Right.
216-578-1490. 216-578-1490. We got one line open. Who's on the phone line? Talk to me.
Hey, it's Kim Snyder, the Hug Lady.
Yes, ma'am. Talk to me, Kim.
Hey, I just heard that Robert was on the radio, and I just wondered if he talked about the event that's happening this Thursday night. I believe it's at 6 o'clock. Did you share about that, Robert?
Well, Kim, first of all, good to hear your voice. It was good to see you Saturday at the community event. I appreciate all you continue to do to spread love around this community. I did mention it. I'll mention it again. This Thursday, August 10th, 6 p.m., Red for Christ Church on 13004 Liberty Avenue off West 130th Street. Where there's going to be a lot of different stakeholders at the table. We're going to be introducing something called the 10-Point Coalition, which is a proven model to dramatically reduce violent crime in violent neighborhoods of urban communities. So, Kim, I know that you're aware of it, as is Art and Al and others. So, yeah, it's coming up here soon, and we'd love to have a full house because this is really important.
Great. I'm hoping that my friends, Brother McKoy and Brother Porter, are going to be there with me. So I just wanted to make sure you mentioned that because that sounds really exciting.
It is.
Oh, man.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sister Kim.
Yes. You guys have a great day.
All right. Thank you, sister.
You
God
too.
bless you, okay?
God bless, Kim.
Okay. God bless. Bye.
God bless you.
All right. No doubt about it. Now, Brother Kylo, you say that it seems like that the politicians only come with a plan during election time. Is that your statement?
That's what I've noticed. Yep.
So expound further on that.
Well, there's a couple things I've noticed. First of all, take a step back. In the city of Cleveland, in mayoral elections, only about 12% of registered voters even bother to vote. So 88% of registered voters don't even vote on election day. You know what that tells me, Art? A lot of people aren't paying attention. And I think these politicians know that.
Yes.
So they get in there, they get elected, they keep their little fiefdoms and territories, and no one's paying attention. I don't know how many city council meetings I've been to where there's like 10 people there. So they know they can do whatever they want with this sleight of hand, behind-the-scene type stuff, including on election day. But all of a sudden, my gut's telling me this mayor is threatened this year. I don't care if he's got $7 gazillion from huge fundraisers in Gates Mills or not. He's feeling the heat. He's got several incumbents challenging him, and there's several other viable candidates. And all of a sudden, he's being spotted everywhere.
216-578-1490. Listen, you're listening to the hottest radio show for the last 7 years. 216-578-1490. One line open. Call now. Yes. Who's on the line, sir?
Yes, good afternoon. How are you doing?
Yes.
Question for your guest. I want to know, what would you do for organizations? Like I run an organization here in the city of Cleveland, and it's dealing and working with our youth and mentoring them and giving them positive things to do. What would you do for those organizations that's really out there working in the community and trying to reach our youth and trying to do positive things and direct our youth in the right direction? I'll hang up and listen, but just want to know what would you do for those organizations?
Thank you for your phone call.
Well, first of all, thanks for what you are doing in this community. The fact that you're serving our youth is huge. One of the things I think we have to do right away is make sure organizations like yourself that are doing meaningful work for children have a seat at the table at City Hall. As a matter of fact, in my breakthrough days, I was at City Hall a lot, and I always noticed it seemed like a lot of the community-based organizations did not have a seat at the table. big business and some of the big foundations, they were there, but I didn't see a lot of community liaisons. So I think as the mayor of Cleveland, you set the tone, and the tone we're going to set is that people that are ingrained in the community not only have a seat at the table, but your voice has to be heard. And then I think we need to set a culture of collaboration at the street, community, precinct level. And I think with kids, if you set the vision high enough, you're going to draw enough resources and partnerships together. Everybody's going to feel like their voices are being heard. And great ideas come from collaboration, communication, and transparency. So I think it's the values that the Kylo administration will put in play that's going to invite partners like yourself to the table. Your experience and your wisdom will be heard, and solutions are going to come. So that's a long way of saying we got to make sure you're invited to be a part of the process. You need to make sure you have the resources to fund your organization. You need a vision that's inspiring enough to get behind, and those are the kind of things we're looking to bring.
Brother Kylo, go ahead, sir. Everybody want a shot at you. That's all right. Go right ahead, sir.
Samuel from Melanated Media News. I have 2 questions.
Please.
This 10-point plan or whatever, has it proven to work in any cities?
It has. It's a great question. I mean, first of all, it started in Boston, and then it was rolled out in Indianapolis. As a matter of fact, I spent 3.5 hours in a very high-level conversation with some of the leadership from Indianapolis, because I've never been a mayor of a city, but I've led at high levels. And what I've learned about leadership is you have to learn from proven, successful leaders, and you have to implement things in a way that makes sense. Of course, in this case, we Clevelandize it, because we're not Indianapolis. We're not Boston, we're Cleveland, and thankfully so, we're the best city in this country. But we are going to be introducing something that's proven to work. The United States FBI has awarded it a lot of different accreditation. In fact, national leaders are behind it. This is proven. In fact, some of their most violent neighborhoods of Indianapolis have gone 52 months without any violent crime. And what's great about this, and I'm kind of giving you some preemptive notice about this coming Thursday, but I'm happy to do it, is you make sure that ex-incarcerated citizens are involved, people that came from the neighborhoods and came from the gangs who understand how to micro-target from a street-by-street, house-by-house level, working with police. But what's beautiful about this is it's actually the faith community that leads out. The faith community is the ones with the deep relationships at a multi-dimensional level, and that's what's great about it, because what I would love to see happen in Cleveland, first of all, I want to see no people dying anymore from bullets. And what I want to see happen is the faith community to step up and take their rightful role as leaders. Now, I realize I'm not looking to convert City Hall into some sort of faith initiative, but I definitely know we need to be partnering with the faith community, and that's what I love about this model. It's proven to work, it proves to work dramatically, and the faith community is leading out with other key leaders.
Okay, and the recent statements by Trump that suggests aggressive policing, you know, the whole hit the head on the van and different things like that. How will you find the balance between solving crime and aggressive policing? Because you want to solve crime, you want to eliminate the murders. The police have to do their job. They can't have soft skin. They have to go out there and tackle the streets. How do you plan to find that balance? Do you have an agenda or plan for that?
Well, I do. And first of all, I would use the phrase effective policing. I think when you start using words like aggressive, it starts sending off alarms that, well, what does that mean? And of course, you need to work with all agencies at the federal, state, local, and county level. But I look at it this way. I'm looking for effective policing. I want to make sure we have a 21st century police force in Cleveland that regains its preeminent status back to the old Elliott Ness days. And I also want to make sure that, from what I've heard from experts, it's about 10% of crime that's done by hardened criminals. And it's those that are doing the hardened crime that have to be responded to with the right force. And I emphasize the words, the right force. The other 90%, they're probably making mistakes that they wish they didn't, and there's ways to circumnavigate some of those things. So it's about effective policing, it's about collaboration, it's about steady leadership, listening to all sides of the equation, and it's making sure that our police have the resources they need, but also the relationships they need at the community level, which is why I think the 10-point can help achieve that.
Okay.
All right, you done? All right.
No, but I see we got it.
Okay, who's on the phone line? Talk to me. Let's finish with you, and then we'll go right to the phone line. Quickly.
Okay. Do you think the police will be willing to cooperate? We've seen in cities, Baltimore, the black police chief similar to this city, and other cities across America where there's been shootings, and the mayor basically has control over the police. We don't see the mayor step up. and we know that there's a disconnect between the residents and the police. How will you, basically there has to be a culture change between the residents and the police. How will you help implement a new culture change?
Well, I appreciate the way you asked that question. In fact, many things we've been saying on the campaign trail is that Cleveland needs a fresh start at City Hall. And with a fresh start, with fresh leadership, comes fresh perspective and fresh culture, and that starts at the top. And the number one value that I take seriously as a leader is humility. What I don't want to see happen are people running around the streets of Cleveland saying, vote for me and I'll fix Cleveland. Anybody who has the audacity to say that has got a lot of ego. Notice You're not hearing me say that. I'm saying we need humble leadership that recognizes that we as the people of Cleveland have to work together. I can assure you that's the kind of leadership I adhere to, because I don't take myself too seriously. But I do take these solutions very seriously, and there is no greater priority than making sure the citizens of this great city are safe. So you establish the culture, I believe, by establishing a precedent that at the top level you have a humble leader who's positioned himself with phenomenally expert minds and experiences so that we can effectively work together. So I think it starts with humility, and when you have that in a leader, you're going to have someone who listens. You're going to have someone who reaches out to diverse stakeholders. You're going to have someone who doesn't take credit for everything, which I can't stand. And you're going to have someone who doesn't blame everybody for other problems. So I think those are some of the things that are inherent to establishing a culture. And believe me, God willing, we win this thing. By the time I say I do solemnly affirm to faithfully uphold and execute the laws of the city of Cleveland, so help me God, at that very second, it kicks into gear. City Cleveland is going to another level, and it's another level of humble servant leadership.
216-578-1490. I see you getting excited, Ted. I'll come back to you. 216-578-1490. Who's on the line? One line open, WERE 1490. Yes. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
For some reason, I don't know that there's interference on this end.
We hear you loud and clear. Go ahead with your question.
I heard Mr. Callow at the Black on Black crime, and I was very impressed with him because I do believe that if we had more people running, more candidates who are believers in Almighty God, I do think we'd be much better off than ever before. So I keep up the good work, sir, because I know with God's help you can make it and you can win.
Well, I appreciate that. I thank you for that encouragement. Keep praying for us. This city needs to recognize that we have a Creator and we're all equal under Him. And I'll tell you what, when that starts happening, people are going to be blessed. So that means a lot to me. Thanks for sharing that.
All right. Thank you so much. Brother Callow, do you think that a candidate, just say a mayor candidate, since that's you running, do you think they can win under the God's platform?
Well, it's an interesting question, Art. I look at it this way. My personal faith in Christ doesn't tell me that I go convert Cleveland to Christianity. My faith in the Lord tells me I go serve Cleveland with excellence, honor, humility, and integrity. So I really believe, if anything, people need to know the heart of the leader, I believe, before they start knowing the principles and their ideas and solutions. So I've been very clear, and your question is a good one, is yes, I do believe in God. And as a matter of fact, so did a lot of people that have served in this country, in this state, in this county, in this city. And that's why I think leaders put a hand on the good book when they get sworn in. That being said, as I said at the City Club 8 years ago and during those debates, my role is not to convert people into my faith. My role in my faith is to lay my life down in service to humanity. And I really believe it's that kind of leadership people are hungry for, and they certainly have been receptive, including that wonderful woman who just called in. So I'm not running on a God platform, but I do believe in a Creator and a God who gives us the liberties we have, and it's that liberty that I have I want to make sure I lay down so that others can be free.
Brother Callow, you were an athlete?
I was, but not at the highest levels. I played basketball, baseball, and golf in high school. I've played just about every intramural sport you can. In fact, I was a sports industry major coming out of Ohio University. My first job was actually working in the NBA. And most recently, before running for mayor, I was the state director of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. It was always funny. I'm 5'6", a buck whatever on a good day. And my boss played for the Cincinnati Bengals, and our Metro director for FCA, a wonderful guy named Steve Sanders, who's just a champion. He was actually a player for the Browns. So Rick would walk in, Steve would walk in, and then I'd walk in, and I'd always say, guess which one of us didn't play in the NFL? And people always knew it was me. But all that to say, I love sports. Cleveland's a sports town. And I think, like our Cavs 2 years ago, it's time for this city to start thinking like champions again.
Kylo, can you hit a curveball?
I can.
All right. What in the heck is up with Kyrie Irving?
Oh, man. Well, you know what? It's interesting, and I'm just going to put this out there. In many ways, this Kyrie-LeBron division is almost a microcosm of the divisions of this city. This city is too divided. West side, east side, black, white, Republican, Democrat, gay, straight, rich, poor, everything in between. And I think what happens is when the Cavs won the championship 2 years ago, they were an extraordinary team. I mean, yeah, Kyrie hit the big shot in Steph Curry's face, which was epic. But if it wasn't for Tristan Thompson rebounding, if it wasn't for LeBron being LeBron and all these other players doing their role, there's no way they win that championship. What saddens me is that these guys want to put their names and their brands before team. And I really believe, I hope they settle it. They're a better team if Kyrie and LeBron are still here.
All right, you hit a curveball. Who's on the phone line? Talk to me. The hottest radio show in the whole wide world. Our phones stay lit up. Who's on the phone line? No other show can claim this. Who's on the phone line? One line open. Who's on the phone line? Talk to me.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead. You're breaking up, but I got you. Go ahead.
Hey, yeah, my son just won the championship.
Your son just won the championship. What did he win?
He won. It was a tournament. We won for the East Cleveland Chiefs.
The East Cleveland Chiefs won?
Wow.
Yes, we won.
Wow, congratulations. Where are you all at now?
We're leaving Parma.
Leaving Palmer victorious, right?
Yeah, leaving Parma victorious.
Hey, congratulations, okay?
Yes.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Yes, go ahead.
Did you hear the excitement in her voice?
Yes.
Championship, winning. People love to win. You can
Yeah.
feel it coming through the phone. And I'm sure I speak for everybody listening or in this room. When the Cavs won 2 years ago, I mean, there was an electricity in this city that has rarely ever been experienced. I believe Cleveland will be a championship city when all of our kids are winning, when they're getting the best education possible, when people actually are living the embodiment of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I don't know about you, but I feel that excitement when I've gotten a great job that I'm proud of, or when a family member does well, or someone in our church community is flourishing. I feel like what I just heard from her voice is what we need to hear in Cleveland again, not just during sports seasons, but all throughout the year. And I really do believe the mayor has an opportunity to set that tone. But he needs to be visible, needs to be inspiring, and needs to be articulate. And I humbly submit I'm ready to roll.
Carlo, you know we have millions of listeners, and I'll tell you something right now. When it comes to registered voters, no show can touch this show here. So my question to you is this. Are you real or are you Memorex?
I'm real.
The reason I ask that because you know you can be Memorex and be good. Memorex is good, or you can be real and be good. So which one are you?
I'm the real deal. You know what? I'm going to say this, and maybe it's a bold statement, but I really believe ever since I was a little kid, the adjective that I always get is, man, Kylo, you are authentic, you are genuine, you are sincere. That's what people tell me, and I think the reason is I wear my heart on my sleeve. I mean, I just put it out there. I mean, I don't dodge tough questions. I don't try to circumnavigate the issues that some politicians get squirmy with. I just flat out bring it. You know why I bring it? I know who I am. I know who I'm not. I'm not trying to be these other candidates. I'm not trying to be our current mayor. I'm trying to be the best Robert Michael Kylo I can be. And I really think, you know what, when it's all said and done, I sure hope people vote Kylo on September 12th. And believe me, I am firmly convinced we're going to be in the top 2 and we're going to roll from there. But I can assure you, I'm the real deal.
All right, so another question for you. I'm very interested. One of your jobs was sports. What?
Sports industry. So I was in corporate sales in the
So-
NBA. Don't hold this against me, but I worked for the Detroit Pistons coming out of college. I may have just lost all our listening audience, but hey, it was a good job, and you got to do what you got to do.
All right,
I did corporate sales in the NBA.
All right, so you work with Christian athletes also. What was that
That was
about?
most recently. So as the state director of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, the mission really is to impact the world for Jesus Christ through the influence of coaches and athletes. We're in over 600, I believe now, schools throughout the state of Ohio. It's an international nonprofit that's been around for a long, long time. And what I love about FCA is it's all about values. At the youngest age possible, we're making sure kids understand excellence, integrity, teamwork, servant leadership, because these are the people that are going to be leading our country, our state, our region, and our city down the road. We want to make sure they have the best qualities possible.
Listen, the reason we got to go to fast talk because we got to end this pretty soon. Because from this leadership that you're talking about with the Christian athletes, I noticed one thing, that most of those guys that the football players that was from the Hall of Fame, those guys had could really speak and had hearts and minds. I was impressed, I was impressed,
Absolutely, and I'll say it briefly. You know what? I already said I'm not looking to have a weird agenda with my faith, but I will say this. There's nothing wrong with being a man or a woman of faith. I mean, we have a Creator who loves us, and He gives us gifts that are supposed to be displayed. And I think what you saw with those speeches, and certainly on the football field, these are people that have gifts, and they're using them for the glory of God. I actually think that's a good thing.
All right, school board. You mentioned that education was would be one of your main priorities. Now, for years we've had, at one time we had a school board that was led by the people. Now we have a mayoral controlled school board. What do you think that it has worked, or what's your opinion on that?
Well, I'm glad you asked. In fact, during the second Progressive Caucus Forum, I actually answered that one of the things I would do immediately is begin to put some elected school board members back on the school board. I think it needs to be a combination of both, because I think you need to have such a broad representation of stakeholders, but the most important stakeholders are the citizens of Cleveland that are living in Cleveland, that have children, and then want their children to get an excellent education. If you take it back to what I believe was House Bill 69, when Mayor Michael White brought forth the mayoral control, I look at it to the other part of the question. I mean, there's great teachers in our schools. Our CEO is a great guy, but our schools are still way behind so many different urban districts. There's things we can do to fix that, and I definitely think putting the voice back into the people can certainly help.
Kylo, we have to go, but before, yes, sir, go ahead. Make it quickly. Go ahead.
I would like to know your opinion on neighborhoods like Glenville that are being gentrified. What is your opinion on gentrification?
I mean, that's a big question, and I think it's a topic that comes up a lot. I mean, I'm an old school guy who wants to make sure that those that have been faithful to be in the city of Cleveland, including Glenville or Huff or other neighborhoods surrounding the Cleveland Clinic or whatever it may be, that they make sure they have affordable housing, that they make sure that their property values are at a point where they can continue to live in the city and grow and raise families in the city. I think you've got a real issue happening in Cleveland. I know one of the other candidates always talking about Cleveland 1 and Cleveland 2. But we need one Cleveland, and I realize there's always going to be rich, there's always going to be some poor, and there's going to be some middle class. But I think it's the middle class that we need to really invest in, because they're the ones, that's the kind of family I was raised in. So you can avoid some of that severe gentrification, and you can make sure the houses and all the amenities of Cleveland are accessible for all of Clevelanders. Otherwise, you start squeezing certain people groups out, and I think that's a problem.
216-578. We got to go to fast talk quickly, or we'll never get him out the studio. Who's on the phone line? Talk to me. Yes, talk
Hello?
to me. Yes, go ahead and talk. Talk to
Kathy Ray Coleman, Cleveland Urban News. How are you doing, Art?
Yes, ma'am. Talk to Brother
Now,
Kylo.
how fast talk is it? Because you let this white man blabber on,
No,
and I like him, but I got to be rushed. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that I'm dealing with radio time.
Because I want to respond quickly to what he said. Is that okay?
Yeah, ma'am. Ask him a question.
I mean, he's articulate, and I'm impressed. But we continue to embrace the separation of church and state in these schools under the First Amendment, because that's what protects our children from being subjected to people imposing their views upon them. Now, we believe in equal opportunity and that all students can learn, but you got to be careful about that. I want him to know that. But I also want you to know that I spoke with Donna Brown per your directive, and you had asked me to get the mayoral candidates together, right?
All right, ma'am, I want you to direct your question to Brother Kylo. Simply, that's something we can have. We can have another discussion, okay?
Kylo,
but I'm telling you, my time is
Mr.
limited.
Kylo, could you please let me say that I like your energy, Mr. Kylo, and we are glad to have 11 handsome men in the race. but there's some issues that we expect the candidates to address. From violence against women and heightened murders to education to the legal system. Now, can you come to a forum on the 22nd, the 23rd, or the 24th? We're asking people now. Jeff Johnson has confirmed.
Okay, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Kathy. I, with all due respect, I told you I'm running on a real tight time schedule. It has nothing to do with you. If you want to ask them to come to the forum, ask them. But I got to roll. I'm not. It's not.
All right. Thank you, Art.
All right. Thank you so much, dear. Yes. Who's on the phone line? Talk to me.
Hi. This is Donna Brown. I would like to know, how does Robert Kylo feel about Cleveland Clinic and CareSource terminating services for the poor and needy, because we're having a health alert community forum today at 7:30 at Black on Black Crime, 15415 Kipling Avenue, 7:30. We're having a health alert so that the black community can be aware of beneficial options other than just being terminated of services from the Cleveland Clinic through CareSource. So how does he feel about that?
Well,
Thank you for your phone call.
This came up in a debate as well, or one of the forums. The Cleveland Clinic represents a huge force of potential good for this community. And I think, as I mentioned it in the debate, does the Cleveland Clinic care more about international leaders that are sultans of Brunei, or do they care more about Clevelanders that are actually right in their next door to them? And whether it's CareSource or other healthcare providers, we really have to take a look at, do our citizens of Cleveland, have access to affordable health care? Too many of them don't, and that's a problem. And I think whether it's the Cleveland Clinic or other major stakeholders in this city, as the mayor of Cleveland, you better believe we're going to put good pressure on them to make sure we're investing here locally. As it relates to the health forum you mentioned, God willing, I'll be there. I mean, anywhere people are in the city of Cleveland that want to be talking about issues like you just brought up, Donna, Lord willing, I'll be there. I'll make sure our campaign manager is aware of it if she's not already.
All right, Brother Kylo, I'm going to have to kick you out the studio because you're too good, and you got my millions of listeners on fire, which is great. I'm glad you came in. You have 2 minutes to tell our millions of listeners why they should elect you.
Art, that's a great way to finish, and thanks for inviting me in, guys. I really enjoyed being here. These are great questions. I mean, I would say it very clearly. The reason we are running for mayor of Cleveland, I emphasize the word we. We've got diverse support all across this city, grassroots men and women and even children that are saying we want to be a part of something bigger than any one person. I can assure you that's the kind of tone we're setting. There's 4 reasons, back to the earlier caller, why I'm running. Number 1, there's too much violence in this city. That has to be stopped. That has to be stopped now. Number 2, there's too many kids not graduating from high school who are not having an opportunity to fulfill their dreams. That has to stop. That has to stop now. Number 3, there are not enough jobs or even high-paying jobs in this city. That has to stop, and that has to stop now. And number 4, City Hall service is atrocious. Time and time again, I keep hearing that people pick up a phone, either no one's answering, or the people that are answering are actually being rude to the citizens or not even addressing their problems. This is ridiculous. City Hall exists because it's the people's house. And I'm running to put the power back where it's always meant to be, in the people. We, the people of the United States, is how this thing started, and we, the people of the city of Cleveland, need to get back to working together again. So I'm running to make sure that we dramatically reduce violent crime in the city. I'm running to dramatically increase the graduation rates in our city for our kids. I'm making sure we are holding ourselves accountable to working with the business community for more jobs. And let's make sure City Hall does what it's supposed to do, serve people with excellence. That's the Kylo administration, and I look forward to serving with you.
That's why we brought him in here. We want our millions of listeners to be really, really informed. It's your choice. Just make a good vote. Lord have mercy. Thank you, Brother Kylo.
Thank you.
All right.